All right, thank you everyone. We have a pretty packed webinar today, so I want to be sure that we have ample time for presentations and questions. So good afternoon. My name is Grace Kaufman. I am the project manager at the Local Government Commission, and we are the program administrator for LGSCC. This webinar is on making the case for municipal retrofits, the City of San Diego's ZN3 project. Again, this webinar is organized by the Local Government Sustainable Energy Coalition, or LGSCC, in partnership with the Center for Sustainable Energy. So a quick overview of today's agenda. I will first provide a brief intro to LGSCC for those of you who may not be familiar with us, and then I will introduce our speakers and hand it over to them for our feature presentations. Before we get started, I have a few logistical items to go over. Everyone will be muted except for our panelists. And due to the large number of participants, we ask that you type your question into the question box. Please feel free to submit your questions at any point during the webinar, and I will be summarizing those questions during the Q&A portion, which will follow the presentations. Any of the questions that we don't get to, we'll ask our presenters to respond after the webinar, and we will share the responses in a follow-up email. This webinar will also be recorded and made available on our website along with the PowerPoint presentation. So, as I mentioned, this webinar is being organized by LGSCC, which is a coalition of local governments and their allies from across California. LGSCC is a strong peer-to-peer network of sustainability practitioners where colleagues exchange information and tools through our member-only newsletter, member portal, and quarterly meetings. LGSCC is the only entity that represents local governments at regulatory proceedings, in particular before the CPUC, ARB, and the CEC. LGSCC has successfully educated state policymakers and regulators about the important role local governments play in achieving California's energy efficiency and climate goals, and we continue to closely monitor energy efficiency issues ranging from energy use in buildings to utility program structures. LGSCC advocates for well-structured, long-term funding and incentive programs for clean energy and supports our members' efforts to develop a variety of renewable energy projects by shaping state regulatory policy. LGSCC would like to invite all attendees to join LGSCC and the Center for Sustainable Energy in person on December 6th for our last quarterly meeting of 2019. That will be in San Diego, and the link to the registration will be included in the follow-up email. If you have any questions about LGSCC, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And now on to our presenters. So our first presenter is Kristen Larson, and she is an associate manager on the Center for Sustainable Energy's Distributed Energy Resources Programs team. She brings more than 9 years of experience in the sustainability field, with over 4 years of experience specifically focusing on energy efficiency and green building projects. Currently, she manages a portfolio of California Energy Commission Electric Program Investment Charge, or the EPIC program, applied research and demonstration projects focus on testing emerging technologies in buildings to achieve behind-the-meter energy savings through innovative energy efficiency measures and complex on-site energy generation, clean energy generation systems. Kristen works closely with government agencies, property owners, and trade professionals to implement these project initiatives and facilitate market transformation across the clean energy sector. Tyler Seibert graduated from California State University of San Marcos with a business administration degree. In 2008, he started his career at San Diego Gas and Electric as a project office coordinator for the Smart Meter project. He later joined the Home Area Network team as a technology analyst where he worked with vendors to create pilots, establish a retail enablement model, and that led to efforts to complete their current provisioning system for HON devices. Tyler works on the emerging technology team as a program advisor running field studies and is the lead for ZeroNet Energy working on different projects to help customers meet a zero energy goal for their buildings. And finally, Josh Dean is the executive director of the San Diego Green Building Council. In his role, he oversees the daily operations and strategic directions of the organization, ensuring that it carries out its mission to inspire, educate, and collaborate with our community to transform the built environment towards true sustainability. He has over 11 years of professional experience working in the sustainability, construction, and real estate fields. Josh holds a bachelor's degree in construction management from Southern Polytechnic State University and is pursuing a Master of Science in Energy Policy and Climate from Johns Hopkins University, and is a certified energy manager and LEED certified. He has managed a number of local LEED operate O&M and energy programs with a focus towards community education and driving regenerative design. All right, so we have quite an array of experts here, and now I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Kristen.
All right, great. Thank you, Grace. So hello everyone. My name is Kristen Larson, and I'm the manager for the Center for Sustainable Energy, and I'll be the first speaker for today's webinar, Tools and Tactics to Justify ZNE Municipal Retrofits, the City of San Diego's ZN3 project. And before we begin, I'd just like to thank LGSEC for their help and collaboration in the development of this webinar. Also, a quick thank you to all the attendees that are joining today. For those who may not be familiar with us, the Center for Sustainable Energy, CSE, is a nonprofit organization offering clean energy program administration and technical advisory services. For more than 20 years, we've worked nationwide with energy policymakers, regulators, public agencies, businesses, and others as an expert implementation partner and trusted resource. We have one simple mission: to decarbonize. CSE envisions a future with sustainable, equitable, and resilient transportation, buildings, and communities. So to start today's presentation, I'll be giving an overview of the SD ZN3 project, as well as an overview of the modeling design work completed thus far on the project. Then I'll be turning things over to Tyler Seibert from San Diego Gas and Electric to discuss utility incentives and available programs related to the project and ZNE. Lastly, Josh Dean of the San Diego Green Building Council will present on ZNE energy dashboard and visitor engagement activities. So we can get started. What is the SD ZN3 project? Well, it's a California Energy Commission EPIC funded project or state funded project in which CSE is the prime recipient. So I've been a part of this project for the past few years, and I'm excited that I get to share some lessons learned with you all today. In the shortest sense, SD ZN3 is a demonstration of how to achieve ZNE or zero net energy at 3 existing City of San Diego libraries. I've also provided the full project summary here that I'll read. So 3 City of San Diego public libraries are undergoing an integrated demand-side management demonstration to achieve ZNE through cost-effective energy efficiency upgrades, on-site renewable generation, enhanced building automation, pre- and post-installation monitoring, and occupant behavior analysis in order to provide a blueprint that shows ZNE is possible in existing municipal buildings. So when discussing the 3 libraries, we're talking about the Sierra Mesa, Kearny Mesa Public Library, the Point Loma Hervey Public Library, and the Valencia Park Malcolm X Library. So you can see that they're located in different areas of the City of San Diego. They're located in 2 different climate zones. They have different site characteristics, different HVAC equipment, that sort of thing. And that will help us evaluate and compare ZNE strategies. Also, the Valencia Park Malcolm X Library is located in a disadvantaged community, so we'll be able to evaluate the additional benefit there as well. So there are several layers of goals involved in this project. At a project level, they are to achieve ZNE or near ZNE at 3 existing libraries, achieve maximum energy efficiency savings through cost-effective demand-side management technology testing and building monitoring, demonstrate the city's ability to deploy this initiative outside of traditional capital improvement processes, and create a blueprint for other municipalities. However, our measurement of project success goes beyond just achieving the project goals successfully. Through our research findings, we intend to help to inform and bolster the success of state and local goals that you see here as well. For the City of San Diego, they have a goal to reduce energy consumption at municipal facilities by 15% by 2020 and by 25% by 2035. And at the state level, 50% of new major renovations to state buildings will be ZNE by 2025, and 50% of commercial buildings will be retrofit to ZNE by 2030. So these state and local goals are really what spurred the funding for this project. And this project is not an easy feat, and it is a true team effort. So again, this project is funded by the California Energy Commission. And then the Center for Sustainable Energy is the prime recipient, and the City of San Diego is the site host and sponsor. We're also working with San Diego Gas and Electric, and they've been helping identify emerging technologies on the project. And we've been working with Lucid, who's been helping with data visualization, and Mazzetti on design and construction. The San Diego Green Building Council has been helping with education outreach. We've also been working with BERT on plug load management, and ABM on baseline monitoring and lighting upgrades, and also Clementech has been helping with HVAC controls and building automation upgrades. Next. So there are many definitions of ZNE out there, and it's important to establish your ZNE definition first. So for this project, we are using the Zero Net Energy Co-Building definition, and this is one where a building generates as much energy as it consumes over the course of the year, using the Energy Commission's time-dependent valuation metric. So this definition was used for this project because this is a CEC Energy Commission project, and this is their definition, but also this project could not afford full-scale fuel switching. So that was cost prohibitive for this project. But we are going to evaluate other ZNE definitions, ZNE site and source. I don't want to get too far into the weeds with this, but just know that there's several definitions out there, several different calculations, and you want to know which one you're striving for. So to get to zero, our project has been broken down into 3 phases and 17 steps. So they are phase 1 pre-retrofit, phase 2 construction, phase 3 post-retrofit. So we've completed all our phase 1 activities on this project. So we've performed our building energy audits, we've identified and installed end-use monitoring equipment, we've collected our baseline end-use data, we've created our energy models, we've performed our pre-retrofit behavior analysis survey, and we've identified and assessed our energy conservation measures, or ECMs, including our pre-commercial technologies. And now we've been moving into phase 2, the construction phase. We are selecting our installation contractors, applying for permits, procuring our equipment. We're notifying library occupants and patrons, installing our ECMs, performing commissioning and retro-commissioning, and integrating new and existing systems into an overall building management system or automation system. And then hopefully by spring, we will be moving into phase 3, our post-retrofit phase, where we will be collecting 12 months of measurement and verification data, educating and training our facility operators, completing our post-retrofit occupant behavior analysis survey, and then evaluating project results and benefits. So as mentioned, one of the first steps completed to get to ZNE was to conduct ASHRAE energy audits. So this allowed the project team to collect site characteristics about each building, HVAC, number of HVAC units, the insulation amount, number of windows, number of printers and copiers, things like that. And additionally, as part of this process, the project team collected historical utility bill information. So all this information was combined and inputted into Energy Pro, which is an available energy modeling software to develop the baseline energy usage estimates depicted here. So you can see the energy consumption at each library is slightly different. At Sierra Mesa, Kearny Mesa Library, it looks like the majority of their energy consumption is coming from plug loads, while at the Valencia Park Malcolm X Library, the majority of their consumption is coming from HVAC equipment. All right. So our baseline energy modeling also allowed us to compare the energy use intensity of each library to the average public assembly building and ZNE verified public assembly building based on NBI, or New Building Institute data, to see what is our ZNE delta. So you can see our first goal was, okay, to get to ZNE verified, we wanted to get to an EUI of 17.9 with our energy conservation measures. So Point Loma has the highest starting EUI of the 3 libraries with an EUI of 71, and then it goes down to Sierra Mesa, Kearny Mesa, which has an EUI of 65, and then Valencia Park has the lowest starting EUI at 45. So the Valencia Park library we knew needed the least amount of energy reduction from the beginning. Also, I wanted to note the project team was able to verify our modeling estimates by collecting 3 months of baseline data from end-use monitoring equipment that was installed at the libraries, and that allowed for our energy model to be calibrated and as accurate as possible. After baseline data collection and modeling, the project team moved into our design. So with existing buildings, it's important to consider existing equipment. The City of San Diego's power purchase agreement requires that solar be installed prior to the installation of any identified energy conservation measures for the project. Typically, it's the other way around, and solar is sized after your energy conservation measures are identified. But this is something that will be encountered more and more with existing buildings as they go ZNE. It was also planned from the beginning to integrate the existing end-use monitoring equipment that we installed to get that 3-month baseline data, and also to incorporate existing train building automation systems at the libraries. And we wanted to incorporate those into one overarching building automation system. Other ECMs to be installed and that were identified are LED lighting and lighting controls, HVAC controls, plug load management devices, and we're performing weatherization at one of the libraries, the Valencia Park Malcolm X Library. So to be mindful of project costs, the lowest hanging fruit ECMs were evaluated first. So the table here shows the total estimated savings for the libraries once ECMs are installed. It also shows the total estimated cost. So we're estimating to save about 239,704 kilowatt hours per year at all 3 libraries, and that amounts to about $33,655 at a cost just for the installation of the energy conservation measures a little under $1 million. So that cost doesn't include design, energy modeling, and construction management costs there. So simple payback of these measures is high, but this is a demonstration project that will hopefully help to drive costs of ECMs down, and there is a lot of non-monetary benefit to this project, such as education of library visitors, which will help extend energy savings beyond just the 3 libraries, and Josh will speak to that a little bit later in this presentation. So how close is each library to ZNE? Well, the project team thinks we can reach it at Valencia Park Malcolm X. So what's depicted here is the EUI after energy conservation measures are installed, and including the PV systems that were already installed, and where we'd be at with our new energy use intensity. So our saving estimates are conservative. There is the issue that, we do have natural gas on site at these libraries, and our focus was really electric use reduction for this project. So that has been a challenge. But we'll be near ZNE at Sierra Mesa Library, and Point Loma will be a high-performance building. The challenge at Point Loma as well was it's difficult to achieve ZNE there since there was limited roof space and parking lot space for a larger solar system. So you can see on the chart there that Point Loma has the smallest size PV system. All right, so some overall lessons learned to date on the project are to know and stick to your ZNE definition, know your delta to ZNE, conduct pre-retrofit sub-metered monitoring, isolate energy reductions by end use to achieve maximum savings, identify the right energy modeling tool for the project, and perform additive modeling. Anticipate the impact of cybersecurity requirements on building automation. This is something that we had to work with the city with to go through their IT approval process, and that took a little bit longer than we were anticipating. So know that in advance. Lighting upgrades and building controls are cost-effective ECMs for existing buildings, but many emerging technologies are still cost-prohibitive. Perform 12 months of post-retrofit monitoring instead of relying on your ZNE design. And then just lastly, it's really important to be adaptable and prepared to learn new things. I also wanted to highlight some of the unique aspects of this project. So it showcases a public, private, and nonprofit partnership. It retrofits existing buildings and integrates emerging devices with a building automation system. It evaluates behavior impact and creates a blueprint for other local governments. So I hope that you can use this project as a case study and use our lessons learned to help any of your current or future projects. And just in closing, I wanted to share the next project steps. So we are planning to enter construction in January 2020, and we're doing some pre-construction activities currently. And then by spring 2020, we'll enter our measurement and verification stage. And then by spring 2021, we hope to have our final report out, which you can all read if you go to our project microsite, which is included there, energycenter.org/SDZN3. And we'll post project updates and other resources there. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Tyler Seibert.
Great, thanks, Kristen, appreciate it. Okay, so Tyler Seibert, I'm a project advisor for SDG&E, and I just wanted to give an overview of really why we do ZNE projects as well. So it kind of just gives an intro. So I want to talk about that first, and then give an overview on some of the programs and incentives that we had available that we made available for this particular project. Talk about a little bit of the challenges that we experienced, and then also talk about just a couple more, I'm going to call them tools more, but also another program as well, which is our Emerging Technologies program, and talk about that a little bit as it all relates to ZNE. So one of the things for us, as SDG&E, we do have a business plan. We do have goals that we try to meet, and we definitely want to make sure that ZNE is one of them. And these are just 6 of the ways that we think that ZNE is important and how you can really get to those. And this deals with more of the commercial sector. We do have one for also the residential, but we try to make it to where if you are trying to reach ZNE, if you are trying to be as energy efficient as possible, which really is ZNE in a nutshell, and then throwing on solar to help get to that zero net energy. These are some of those ways. And we try to make it to where, if you're really going to an energy efficient building and trying to make yourself or that building to be as energy efficient as possible, it's also a win or a plus for you as well as the property owner, building owner. So these are just some of those ways, really just making the smartest moves possible for you and how to do that. So the first one that I wanted to talk about was our energy efficiency business incentive program. This is the main one that we offered or kind of suggested for the 3 libraries to go through after looking at the different measures that the buildings were proposing. This one we really felt was the best way for just for the project to be able to get as much savings as possible. And these are some of the things. This is just the highlights for it. If they were saving energy on the electric side, and since there was a little bit of gas, I put that in there as well. And then the possibility for peak reductions. And so this is just the highlighting that. And this is for, for EIPI program, it can be for, for the existing retrofit for the equipment or installing new equipment as well. So a couple things to think about. The thing for us was when you do go through the EIPI program, there's a couple of things you definitely want to remember before applying. And that is, one, you want to go through and make sure that you're not installing any of these products before you go through our program. That's probably the first thing. So that's that notice to proceed. That's the first thing. We definitely want to be able to help you as best as possible. So if you are planning on doing energy efficient upgrades, which is basically going above code, and you want to go through our programs, you want to make sure that you're not, installing it before you go through our program. Also, we want to let you know that if you are going through our program, the better that you do or more energy efficiency that you provide, you're going to be saving more. There's an opportunity to save more as well. And then the other thing is you definitely want to be in contact with our different program advisors. So there are different documents that are on the website that help you to go through it. And then also there's the email that you can go through there with submitting your documents as well. And then if you do have an account executive, it's somebody that we would definitely recommend you working with as well, because they know a lot of our programs. And so that way you can get pointed to the right programs. You can go to the next slide. So this just kind of gives you kind of the layout of the process for going through EEBI. It's basically a pre-application eligibility. Then you work with an engineer, which is really the most important part. I think when you're going through the EEBI program is because you have an engineer that's going to take a look at what you're planning on doing for your building or for your project, and they can give you a really good overview or understanding of what's the best incentive to go after as far as the appliances that you're installing, whether it's with your HVAC or building envelope or lighting or whatever it might be, or controls. They can really give you the best advice on doing that. And then the next step, again, making sure that you're not installing before you're approved to do things. Then there's the installation, and then we do a review to make sure that you're getting the savings that we think you're having or going to have, and then issuing your incentives from there. So additional incentives or opportunities. We also talked with the city for the libraries that they go through our energy efficiency rebates program. The rebates program and incentives program is a little bit different. The rebates are ones that basically the technology, the appliances, the lighting, whatever it might be that you're getting, it's going to be at a reduced cost going through our vendors to get it. So that's a little bit different than the incentive program. We also try to do a technology incentive program, which is a part of our demand response program. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide when I get to that with some of the challenges there. That's also an opportunity to save as well if you wanted to include your building into a program that deals with demand response. So shedding load when we have demand response days, that's also a great opportunity to save money and save energy as well. And then the other one is our on-bill financing, which I think is actually a really good opportunity as long as you qualify for it. And you can find more information on our website about the qualifications for it. But basically, it's a zero interest loan that you would pay for the different measures through your SDG&E bills. And that's a great way to basically get a large loan for zero interest. And so it's a good opportunity. All these things, all these different programs, incentives, opportunities can be found on our website. And also you can reach out to myself, or if you do work with an account executive that you can reach out to them as well, and they can give you more information on it. So some of the challenges that we saw for this particular project was the first one that we ran into was we were trying to go through the TI program. We thought that was a good way for them to save money by having the libraries participate in demand response. But the thing that we ran into was the fact that the libraries are considered cool zones. So when we do have the hot days and we want to be saving energy, the libraries are usually designated as a cool zone. So, this is where anybody can go there from the city and hang out in the libraries and feel comfortable and cool. And so the HVAC is going to be running all the time. There's, not really going to be energy savings through those demand response days. So that was really something that, at first we were trying to go through and found out that later that that's not something that we could really have them go through. We did experience some delays with the project, and that just, with delays, it just pushes things back as far as your timeline. And so those are things that, we had to work through as far as some of the challenges that we experienced. We were able to get on track, and the team is doing good as far as meeting deadlines, but that was just one thing that we experienced. And then with the EEBI program, I don't know if it was more of a challenge or just a learning experience, but the biggest thing was just making sure that we got the city and the libraries involved as early as possible for it. And I think there were just some delays as far as, trying to get them into the program. And also we had some challenges with the trade pro once you do go through the program, and, we go through the incentives that you want. One of the things that we do ask is having somebody that's qualified to install that. So that's one of our trade pros. And so we were trying to find them a trade pro that has worked with them before. So that was one of the challenges that we experienced. But, from the challenges, it was just a learning experience and able to figure it all out and move forward, and the project's doing good. So I'll touch a little bit on I'm calling them tools, but it's also our other program, which is Emerging Technologies. But I'll start with our Energy Innovation Center. And I call it a tool because it's basically our training facility where we provide classes and tools for customers to go, customers of all types for SDG&E, where they can take classes. There's workshops. We offer a lot of steps of getting to energy efficiency, trying to work to get to a zero net energy building. It's a really good resource. There's a lot of really good tools there. Something that I would really recommend that if you haven't checked it out, definitely do that. There is a website for the Energy Innovation Center that you can find on sdgne.com. Gives a whole list of classes and what we do at the center. You can also visit it as well, take a tour. Lots of good resources there. There's even a lending library that you can check tools out that help with energy efficiency stuff, that anywhere from anything that has to do with HVAC to monitoring your energy consumption. And then the last thing, but probably one of the more important things, was our Emerging Technologies program, which is one of the things here at SDG&E that we provide as an opportunity to implement emerging and energy efficiency appliances, whether it's advanced lighting, or has to do with HVAC or controls. It's something that we find those emerging technologies within the market, and then we try to test them at sites. And so this is one that we tried to offer through, actually for the different libraries, was trying to find them some emerging technology that would be able to be suitable for them. We tried to look at maybe some lighting options for them, and things didn't work out, but it's definitely a chance for them to or for a building or opportunity to be able to use our Emerging Technologies program, and where we actually will put in advanced technologies or emerging technologies into the building and pay for it, and then do testing on it, and then provide a basically report at the end of it, and see if there's any potential savings that was found from that emergent technology. And that's pretty much it that I have for mine.
All right, thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Kristen. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Josh Dean, and I'm the Executive Director of the San Diego Green Building Council. And I want to be sharing what our role in this project is in highlighting how we're looking to utilize occupant engagement dashboards to change energy behaviors both within the libraries and out into the community. So we will be working with all three libraries that Kristen went through, and our main objectives to this project are to engage and educate library staff and visitors, including the disadvantaged community members, about integrated demand-side management, ZNE, and all those other acronyms and terms that we've been talking about throughout this whole webinar, through an interactive information kiosk at the public and key decision makers on the knowledge gained, some of the experimental results and lessons learned from the project, and then share this information on feasible integrated demand-side management and ZNE solutions with local government agencies to hopefully spur implementation of similar strategies within the municipal sector. As previously mentioned, the project is using the TDV, or time-dependent evaluation, definition for ZNE, but there are many other definitions that Kristen alluded to explain this concept, as shown in the middle picture there of what a ZNE building is. Kind of that main concept, a building that produces as much or more renewable energy on site as it consumes over the course of a year. There's a number of other definitions, from source and understanding where that energy is coming from, to time of use and cost, and really understanding when energy is being used throughout the day. So it's on us to kind of help understand, or help folks understand that aren't in the energy sector, what these concepts are. And so our big key undertaking is to explain ZNE concepts and allow visitors to walk away with the knowledge gained of how to use these strategies to reduce energy in their homes, in the place of work, or even at school. All three of these libraries are pretty unique in their visitors, and a couple of them are located near middle schools and high schools. So they see a huge influx of students in the afternoons. So we see that as another great opportunity to engage with younger population around some of these concepts. And with this education, our fundamental goal of the project is to affect behavior change. So we're really looking to change behavior within the libraries, both with staff and the visitors. And in order to really do this, we want to look at building staff awareness of what is the ZN3 project, what are the goals, and then encourage participation. And I'll get into this a little bit more in my slides, but looking at how they can engage in these particular projects and energy conservation measures that are being put in place to help achieve some of the desired outcomes. And then look to advocate and model some of these sustainable practices. So how can they take this out into the community and implement some sustainable practices both at home, at the place to work, or school. And so we will be developing tools to help take them and guide them into those directions. And so now I just wanted to kind of highlight all of the steps that we'll be taking over the course of the project in order to achieve this behavioral change. So first, we're really looking at introducing the project, giving some of this relationship to how it falls in line with the city's climate action plan or some of those goals that Krista mentioned for the municipal energy strategy, building awareness. So allowing visitors and library occupants to really understand what are the terminologies around energy, electricity, gas, ZNE, all of these kind of different terms, and then educate them on what are the various energy conservation measures that are being put in place. What are some of these new technologies like a burp brain, plug load management, to ZNE, to just straight energy efficiency. Next, we will look at engagement. And so trying to figure out ways that we can create a gamification strategy to encourage library visitors and staff to kind of compete against the others in reducing energy. And that'd be the ultimate sort of behavior change, just getting them to follow through with that. And then finally, adoption. So as I mentioned, providing some resources and collateral for them to take away and help implement outside of the particular project. So that way we can see, you know, these savings move outside of the library. So now to kind of take a deeper dive into those steps I just highlighted. Our first real step in the process of transferring the knowledge to library visitors and staff is to introduce the SDZN3 project and overall stated outcomes. Additionally, we're looking to show how projects such as ZNE can help the city of San Diego on its path to meeting climate action plan goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions through energy reduction at their municipal facilities. And then also, you know, we have to figure out a way to easily kind of tell this story of what's happening. And so we've selected, as you can see in the slide here, a lucid dashboard that will be displayed on mobile kiosks. And it'll show a lot of the stuff that I'll go into next as far as energy usage and production and where it's going and what are the different projects that are going to be taking place at each library. So in order to build awareness, we really have to relay the message and the understanding of what energy usage is, where it's going, so what in the building is actually using the energy, and how much is being consumed in the libraries overall. And so to do that, we'll need to have some sort of digestible way to display this, because if we just put up charts and graphs of energy usage and spikes and, you know, KBTU and KWH, those kind of terms people won't quite understand. And as we've discussed, the ZNE definitions could be quite confusing as well, because there's a number of them out there. So our goal in this phase is to really utilize this occupant engagement dashboard in a way that converts energy units into relatable metrics and can show what in uses within the building, whether it's lighting, mechanical, some of the plug loads, what are those that are actually consuming energy and at what times throughout the day. So the image here is highlighting how much energy is being used and produced, so that each library has solar PV. And so we can show what is the production versus the consumption throughout the day, and also turn some of these energy metrics into something a little bit more relatable, like, or greenhouse gas emission reductions into number of trees planted or number of cars taken off the road, just so that people can understand and have some sort of quick relationship to what some of these terms are. One of the next steps is the whole education of what are the energy conservation measures that are being put in place in some of these new technologies. So we'll be breaking them down into this storyboard, and that way it shows what's happening from beginning to end of the overall project and kind of flow along with it. This is kind of exciting because we have an opportunity to put our dashboards in place prior to some of the construction being finished. And so with that, we can detail what's happening in real time. So as visitors have questions about the construction taking place, we can have messaging in these different tiles that are regarding the particular measure and how it's connected to the overall energy reduction at that particular library. And so with these tiles and these different types of projects that are here, we can show what the project is, whether it's a lighting change out, and what are some of the metrics and savings, and have those tailored per library, since some libraries will have a couple of different projects going on at different times. The real unique opportunity with the Lucid dashboard and having 3 different libraries that are going through this process at the same time is being able to try to encourage gamification with the visitors and even the staff to help reduce energy usage. And so with gamification, we're looking to create competition. So helping staff and visitors learn through some of these measures that were taking place and that are being put in at each library, and understanding in real time, what are they doing there that is using energy? What are they doing there that could potentially save energy? And then through that, they can see here on this slide, it might be a little bit tough to see, but some of those bar charts, it's actually comparing one building to the next. So you can tell which one is using more energy over that day or over that month or over that year, and then trying to create that, gamify that so that people are then wanting to compete and actually reduce energy. And finally, in our last step, we really want to create this idea of adopting behavior change and just having energy efficiency be at the forefront and allowing people to just kind of do that always. So we will and have started creating collateral and resources available at these mobile kiosks for visitors to take away that can help them with implementing energy saving opportunities at home, specifically at home and maybe at their place of work. So a lot of the rebate programs and incentive programs that SDG&E has that Tyler was talking about, those are for businesses, but they also have those for residential, and we'll be having sort of how these correlate to the projects that are happening within the library to what they can do at home. So our goal is to really have the visitors take this knowledge of energy use reduction strategies and replicate it elsewhere to extend the reach of the project outside of just the walls of the library. And so kind of by incorporating and having library staff and visitors really be engaged, we would really want to have them learn from the project and take additional steps to save energy. And it's a continuous process. So by kind of educating them up front through this particular project, both at the library, they can go online and check it out at the SDZN3 website and track the progress. And then at the end, our goal would be to collect some feedback from them to understand what were some of these post-project knowledge gained opportunities and kind of compare that to a pre-project survey that was also completed. And finally, I just want to kind of briefly discuss where we're at in our timeline and our next steps. Currently, we just purchased the mobile kiosks, and those should be delivered in late December. Additionally, we'll be kicking off our meeting with Lucid and the project stakeholders to discuss how to integrate some of the energy end-use data, the solar production data, and begin setting up those those storyboards based on the projects that are going to be done first in each library. And we hope to have that all implemented by the beginning of January. Along the way, we'll also be tabling and providing some education to library staff and visitors about what's happening and what these kiosks are that are going in, and show them how to use it. So through the end of February, we'll actually be there on site at each different library, showing them how to use it and kind of doing that sort of hands-on approach to teaching how to use the kiosk and learn from it. Then in late January and into February, we'll be tweaking the dashboard content and updating it based on feedback and user analytics. So this will allow us to modify the education components on the dashboard to better fit each library user group. And we can also show through Lucid how long people are staying on a particular page or a particular storyboard, and kind of change where those are located on the overall kiosk based on which ones are being used the most. And then finally, we will be helping sort of evaluate the post-project survey to determine what is that knowledge gained from people going into this not knowing that there's anything about to happen, and then to at the end talking about Z&E and how that's connected to the city's climate action plan and what that means for energy use reduction. Up until now, we've completed a lot of this prep for the project, and we're really excited to move into the next phase of seeing the kiosks installed and beginning to get the lucid information or that energy usage information into the dashboard. And so that way we can begin engaging with the occupants to learn and to hopefully create some behavior change. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to share our role and the goals of the project, and I look forward to answering any questions you all may have. So now I'll turn it back over to Grace for the Q&A portion. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kristen, Tyler, and Josh for presenting on the ZN3 projects. We do have quite a bit of questions here in about 10 minutes of time, so I want to be sure that we can get to as many as we can. So I'd also like to remind all participants that the slides and the recording will be available on LGSCC's website and will also be sent out to all attendees of this webinar. So the first question that we have here is, what emerging technologies were analyzed and determined to be cost effective?
Yeah, so for us, when we looked at the emergent technology side of it, we looked at the lighting side and the controls first. And so what we did was we actually found a company that that worked on daylight harvesting, and we offered that product, and we said, this would be a good opportunity as far as, the lights are always on in the library at all times, at least when we walked around and saw that. So that was just one offering that we were able to find and we offered to them. As far as how much money it would have saved in the long run, I mean, we just had to deal with how much time we would have been saving on the light usage. That was the one that we identified and offered for this project in particular.
And this is Kristen from CSD. So we also looked at the burp brain plug load management devices. So we are installing those. Those turned out to be most cost effective. There are a couple of other ones that were cost prohibitive, like we looked at like a renewable cooling panel. We also looked at a master controller for HVAC equipment and sensors, but those were cost prohibitive. We also looked at a demand response ventilation we looked at demand response ventilation with an air quality sensor, and that company just wasn't available for the timing of our project. So there's a lot of different reasons why we couldn't go with certain emerging technologies. But yeah, one of them was that, was this cost effective or cost prohibitive?
Great, thank you. And then the next question we have is, what does the pre-retrofit behavior analysis involve?
This is Kristen at CSE. So for that behavior analysis, we did a survey that went out to all the library staff and also the volunteers that worked at the libraries, because we wanted to get a feel for were they turning off lights, printers, things like that, and like, were they comfortable like in the space? Like, do we need to adjust set points, that sort of thing. We also looked at where in the like different spaces, like where they felt like there was most lighting already, or like where they saw a need for more lighting, that sort of thing.
All right, thank you. And the next question we have here is for Josh. How have you been engaging with schools about the library upgrades? Are you working to outreach with other nonprofits in the region to collaborate and get the word out?
So we have not done any direct outreach, I guess, to the schools that are located in those areas. We've been, like I said, on the back end doing a lot of this research in kind of getting together what the dashboards and the kiosks are even going to be. That's taken a little while just to ensure that we had direct access to a lot of the energy data. And I guess from us, one of the lessons learned too is, you know, it's a public institution and the municipality, so some of the data is a little tough to get just due to IT security. So once we now have that figured out, we have started doing some tabling and some presentations to library staff and encouraging folks to attend that are already there. But I think that is, you know, sort of the next step. Once we have some of this dialed in a little bit more and ready to go, then we will be doing that direct outreach to outside the community, or to the community outside of the actual libraries. And for outreach with other nonprofits, we haven't done that yet either. I guess we could, you know, try to determine who in and around the libraries are nonprofits that are maybe have some of this similar education and bring them in, or try to utilize some of their community to teach about what's happening in the libraries.
Great. And out of all three libraries, which is the most cost effective, and how does it correlate with how much energy will be saved?
This is Kristen at CSE. So we really, for this project, we're looking at the three libraries as a package. That's why I had the chart break down the cost of the installation measures at each of the three libraries. But I believe when you're looking at dollar amount per kilowatt saved, I think the Sierra Mesa Library ended up being the most cost effective in terms of monetary savings. However, like I mentioned before, I know that there is a high payback period for these measures. This is a grant project, and we hope that it will help spur some reduction in prices, and like more people will start using these measures, and we hope that this project will help with that. Also, there are a lot of non-monetary benefits like education that are not included in the estimates that I showed today. So yeah, it's the payback is unfortunately high, but we hope that this really can help spur some costs to go down.
Great, thank you. This next one is for Tyler. It's a series of questions here. So how soon after you apply for the energy efficient building incentive do you receive a notice to proceed? And who is eligible to receive funding through that incentive? And what is the competitiveness? And then can other types of buildings besides libraries be designated as a cool zone?
Okay. Yeah, so for the application process, for like how soon after you will receive a notice to proceed, that really varies or depends, and I know it's not the best answer in the world, but it really takes however long it takes for you to fill out the pre-application, the application, then have an engineer to review it, and then do a site inspection. You know, that's probably the best answer I can give you. I mean, I guess it could be a couple of days to a week, or I mean, if things are delayed, you know, longer, a month or whatever. Really, I would say just get somebody from SDG&E that's helping you to work on this, and communicate with them early and often. That way you can get it through as quick as possible. Having someone like myself or your account executive to really push that through. Who is eligible to receive the funding for EEBI program? That's for our non-residential customers. So that's you know, anybody that's not a residential customer can qualify for it. And is it competitive? I'm understanding, if I'm understanding that right, it's not competitive. You know, basically, if you qualify for the funds, then you can receive the funds. There's no competition, or you don't need to get it in before the next person or something like that. You just have to meet the requirements for it. And then the other types of buildings that are designated as cool zones, I believe there's only a few of them that are really designated as cool zones. It would really be the ones that, you know, wouldn't participate in demand response, which is our community centers and our resource centers and libraries. Really any place that people in the community can go to get out of the heat or to beat the heat and keep on, and places that will keep the HVAC systems on and running and keeping it cool. Those are the places that wouldn't be able to participate, and they'd be considered the cool zones.
All right, great, thank you. Thank you so much to all of our panelists for joining us today for this webinar, and thank you to everyone who was able to participate. We hope you found it worthwhile and valuable. And as a reminder, the webinar recording and PowerPoint presentation will be shared via email by the end of the week and also posted on the LGSCC website. If you have any additional questions for our speakers today, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'll also be including some of the questions that we didn't get to in the follow-up email. And that concludes our webinar today. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us.